I want to welcome Eddie Cha back. You are a busy, busy man. You've been doing more things in the world of mixed martial arts. Of course, you're Fight Ready MMA's head striking coach in Scottsdale, Arizona. Your team just had a big victory, a couple big victories, but the one I want to talk about first is Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie. He had a fantastic performance against Dan Ige. Now that you've had a little while to kind of reflect, what did you think about his performance?
I thought his performance was great. I mean, he executed game plan. Everybody wanted to see the old zombie come out and brawl and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I don't know if just running your hands is enough to get to the title shot. You got to be a complete mixed martial artist. And Zombie's ground game and wrestling is so good. It's just kind of forgotten about. He's the first one to get the twister in the UFC, and he tapped out Poirier and things like that. But he's got a really good ground. Everybody that goes with him, even wrestling, they go, wow, he's got heavy hips, and he's got great timing on his shots. And so that was kind of our game plan. Within the first 2 minutes, we looked for a shot, whether we hit it or not, just to slow his offense down a little bit, because he can crack. And he was so successful at it. Then we just said, let's keep taking him down. That's where the advantage is, and that's what he did. I thought he controlled almost every round. So it was a great performance.
Yeah, absolutely was, man. It was one of his best to date, no doubt. Of course, he's ranked number 4 now in the flyweight division. Taking a look above him, you got Yair Rodriguez at 3, Brian Ortega at 2, Max Holloway at 1, and of course the champion, Alexander Volkanovski, sitting atop everybody. Who would you like to see him next? I mean, I'm going to be biased here. I was in Denver the night him and Yair fought, and I had him winning that fight until the 1 second, 1 second in the fight. I would personally like to see that rematch, but what would you like to see?
Yeah, I was there too. I think all 3 judges had it winning as well.
Yep.
And I was screaming on the top of my lungs, "Don't rush! You won!" But I wasn't in his corner. I was there for another fighter. And then, but the irony of that story is, we've worked together before that fight here and there. We spent time together, but it was because of that loss is why he decided to finally come out here and train with me and train with the team. And so I talked about it. I was like, man, I wish we worked earlier. And he goes, everything can't happen what was supposed to happen, because had he not done it, he would have thought that he can still train by himself, and just his teammates coaching him and stuff like that. And he had no coaching, no game plans, no nothing. And it just goes to show how talented he is. He got to that level without hardly any of that, so to speak. So it happened what happened. As far as who I want to see, we both want to see, is obviously we want a title shot. That's the name of the game for him. He's been in the sport over 15 plus years, and he'd love to get back there and get a title shot at it. If not, they've already done that Yair fight. I don't think Yair really wants that fight. 1, 2, I don't know how he's ranked above Zombie, because he beats him with that. And he's had 1 fight in 3 years or something like that. So I don't know how the inactivity keeps you ranked that high. But we're not getting caught up in the ranking so far yet. We'd love to see the title shot. If not, he's always been a fan of Holloway, and he kind of wants to fight Holloway. It'd be a new fight. I think it'd be a super exciting fight. And yeah, that's what we're kind of shooting for.
Yeah, that Holloway, I don't think he's booked either. That'd be a tremendous fight, man. Another guy that has been working with you for a while is Eryk Anders, and he had a great performance too in his last outing against Darren Stewart at UFC 263. How is it like working with such a high-level athlete like Eryk Anders?
Eryk's the man. I'm pretty close to him. He's ran 2 camps out here, but we get along really, really well. I've been a fan of his. I worked with him before. We got to work together, and it's just his mindset. The dude is freakishly athletic and everything else. D1 national champion in Alabama, but his work ethic is second to none. The guy trains like he's a 35er. We literally have to tell him, you need to stop. You're overtraining. This is overtraining. I go harder than this and at home. And I said, I understand that. You got to trust the process. And yeah, he's just an absolute workhorse. He'll do everything you tell him to do. He did a complete 360. If you see his movement, his, fight IQ, he's using his left hand better. He's not throwing the right kicks as much. He's throwing a little bit more on the left. Wrestling got better across the board, I thought. Just knowing what it takes to win now. I think he's understanding what a camp should be like, how to moderate, push yourself. what days to go at 10 and what days to push on a 6. Just you can't go a level 10 6 days a week. It just doesn't work that way. Eventually something's going to crash. I think optimal performance, like Cejudo always talks about, is scheduling like a number system, a 1 to 10 on a Monday. Tuesday would be a 6, 10 would be a set, Wednesday, and so forth. So we kind of put that kind of a structure on the bigger camp, so to speak. And we've been having a lot of success. Eryk's won, Bruno Silva got a knockout, Tracy Cortez won for that. I think we're 10-2 in the last 12 fights, so we've been on a little tear right now.
Oh yeah, is that one of the hardest things working with newer guys, is trying to find that balance, trying to get them to listen to their body? Is that difficult as a coach?
More kind of trusting us, like when you go to a new camp, we tell you to do this, tell you to do that. It's everything against what you normally doing.
Right.
It's kind of hard to put your faith in that, because if I'm not certain of that left hand, I'm going to get cracked with the right or whatever, taken down. So it's building a sense of trust, I think, is the first thing. And then everything else kind of comes in play a little bit. The more you show, they understand, what you're talking about. You have a successful track record. And then you hear from other people, and we have Cejudo come in and help out, and a few other guys. So he's been around the high-level camps to see what we're doing, and it's actually working, So, yeah, he's built the trust with us, and we trust him 100%. That's what we just love having him here. He was our owner, Dave Zellwein. He said, make a top 10 list of who you guys want on your team. And Eryk was his number 1 draft pick. He goes, that guy's the guy.
Wow.
So I said, I want him too. So we went out and said, hey, we're more than happy to have you here.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, man, because if Anders has been over, like we'll just go with that. Anders has been kind of maybe training a little bit too hard in his previous, before he came to you. It just makes, and he was still having so much success. So it makes you wonder, like, he's just scratching the surface of what he possibly could be. But switching gears a little bit, man, I'm sure you've been asked 1,000 times, but COVID, just the one thing that affected you the most during COVID that kind of made you guys change gears. Was there something, or did it not really hit you at all?
No, it definitely hurt us. We had to cancel team practices. Gyms were closed. That was hard. And then I remember during that time, Henry Cejudo had a fight, and a couple other guys on our team. So we had to kind of train just groups of 5. We didn't have a whole team with us. So that was hard. It was more work for the coaches, because since we didn't have team practices, we had, say, 3 camps going on. We'd have to go in 3 separate times for 3 different individuals. Then we'd have to assign 3-4 different guys at 3-4 different times. And some guys wouldn't come in. Some guys had COVID. It was just rough, Who do we trust in their circle? Because if one of us gets sick, this guy's screwed in the fight, So we had to kind of isolate the gym. The gym was supposed to be closed at most times, so we were taking risks, kind of somewhat breaking the law, so to speak. So it was hard. It was really, really hard to kind of deal with that whole distraction. And then, I didn't want to get COVID, bringing home my family and my wife and stuff like that. And so we all kind of made pacts and said, look, if we're going to do this, this is all we're doing. We're all meeting here, and you guys are going straight home, no dicking around on weekends and things like that. I think that was just the hardest part, is to be in isolation and having to trust your teammates that they're not going to go get it and bring it back. Because that's how it was spreading in the beginning, is nobody has it, and then everyone's temperature, and then next thing you know, 3 guys had it, then 2 guys had it, then it was just getting so contagious, it was spreading. So that was the hardest part, I thought. But and then when COVID was going on in Korea, I had to quarantine for 2 weeks over there the minute I got off the plane. So yeah, COVID's been tough. Man. With all the other quarantining with the UFC.
Thank God it's in the rearview mirror, and everything. Most of the country is coming back out of it now, so that's a good thing. I got to get your opinion on this fight coming up, man. It's probably the biggest fight of the year. We got Poirier McGregor 3. What do you think of this, man? You think Poirier's going to get it done again, or you think Conor's going to have a big comeback?
I called Dustin the second fight just because I thought the coaching staff with we call it X series, but I don't know what they called it, but it's what he used in Max Holloway fight. He'd fake the left, roll under it, go into an orthodox, and sometimes he'd throw the right hand, and sometimes he would level change. And he did that in the first 20 seconds, I think. It took Conor down for a split second. So I felt like that was going to be a key factor. I thought he was definitely going to calf kick because they're both southpaws. And then I was surprised that he knew how to like his pull counter lead hooks. That was working well. But the third fight, it literally you can flip a point. It's so evenly matched. But I don't think Connor's done. Honestly, I think he was a little ring rust at that time. I don't think Connor's done the same. I've done a piece with Mark Ramondi on this recently. I feel like there's a lot of changes since the 2017 when he fought Alvarez. That was probably when he was in his prime.
Yeah.
But he doesn't kick. He doesn't kick as much. He's not feinting. His footwork's not there where he's going in and out, beating guys. His more look like I'm going straight in, straight forward, and I can get you out of there kind of a thing. Like he's hurt. He's in a hurry or something.
Yeah, right.
But if he takes his time and be methodical and set traps, then I think he can catch Dustin with his counters and stuff like that. It's interesting to see if in a short amount of time how he's going to figure out that calf kick. There's a few ways to deal with it, but I just don't know. I think I heard an interview saying Connor, he's never felt that pain before. And so you don't have anybody on your team that's calf kicking. That's basically what it's saying, right? So calf kick, you have to understand the concept that calf kicks are literally, you're in punch range. You're not in kick range. So there's one thing that he needs to understand, and a few of the adjustments that people can make. I just don't think they know how to address it. But we'll see if his team has figured it out. But I think athletically, speed, and I think Connor's still there. But this is a big fight, and I think a loss will motivate Connor. I don't care if he has $100 million in the bank. It's about winning and losing, and his pride on the line. So I think you're going to see the best version of Connor. Hopefully he goes back to some of those kicks, his feints, setting more traps to counter as opposed to waiting for him to counter. Because if he's waiting, that's when the kicks are coming. So if he would feint, he can draw some of those kicks out. I mean, he can really make it. He's so much twitchier and faster. I think that could be the key to win.
You being the best striking coach in the game, in my opinion, where would you put Dustin's boxing as far as mixed martial arts boxing? Is it some of the best that you've seen?
It's definitely up there, yeah. I mean, to knock out Connor and Hooker he had a war with. I mean, Alvarez, the list goes on. The kid he's a stud, you know. He's definitely up there. But I think just in a boxing match, I think you got to give the edge to Connor. It's just Connor's timing. Back then, his distance of understanding, to me, distance and range is the most important two things, you know, in our sport. I think distance and timing is speed and power. And when you set your feet and you're able to time it. But when he's at his best and he's just constantly pressuring, popping half jabs, and then forcing them to throw, and then he'll slip and hit that cross. I mean, that's just a phenomenal timing and, you know, fight IQ on his part. I think mixing up those teep kicks to the body that he used to do so well. I don't know if it was just because it was orthodox stance. It was easier for him to throw that left teep kick, but that was a super effective kick for him. Even the oblique kicks, anything to kind of get somebody's eyes or depth perception, not just from shoulder to head, is now I got to look down low from my body kick. Now I got to look all the full range of motion on a leg kick. Right. Now I just have some little squats. They're not going to expect takedowns, but you know, there has to be some kind of threat besides the headshots, you know.
Yeah.
And it's easier for Dustin to make adjustments. All I got to sit on is that left hand, and I'm going to run my check hook, you know. And that's all he was doing. He's just defending. Oh, nothing happens. Leg kick. So circle. Oh, here he comes with that 1-2 or 5-2, and then he runs his right hook, check hook on that counter. And so if Connor add more feints to it, I think it'll be a different fight. But nothing to take away from Dustin. I think Dustin has definitely some of the best boxing out there. I mean, you can't deny it. Results is everything, right? That's all you can really go by. We can't go off skill level or a meter of how fast or how smooth somebody looks. If they can't use all those attributes, it really doesn't mean anything. So Dustin's doing it at the right time, the right place, and his timing's on point.
For sure. Last question for me, man. We've kind of seen like a resurgence in the whole like celebrity boxing thing with the Paul brothers and Anderson coming back. And are you a fan of it because it shines a light on our sport, or do you kind of like, are you to take a more like traditionalist approach to it? What do you think of all this?
Me personally, I'm not a fan of it, but I don't hate it because it's making everybody money. You know, at the end of the day, I'm always rooting for the fighters, and if Ben Askren never made $800,000, then let him go make $800,000.
Right.
If you don't want to watch it, you don't have to tune in. But obviously, they're doing enough pay-per-view buys where they're all making money. So I'm all for making money for everybody. If they can make money, that's great. I think it's kind of a circus where it's like, it's ridiculous. I mean, why does MMA guys have to go into other people's, sport, skill set, the only thing they train at? It's different for the Logans. They're not like high-level, world-class boxing athletes, but even Julio Cesar Chavez, I mean, that guy's a WBC world champion.
Yeah.
They might say he's lazy, he's this and this. The guy was 50-5. I don't care if he's a little older. I mean, Anderson at 40 years old, I guarantee you, he can take on a 25-year-old boxing champion MMA, right? It's anybody comes into the MMA, I think it's not even going to be close. But for the boxers to call out these MMA guys, of course they're not going to do it. They're not afraid to put on bigger gloves against a better guy for more money. Yeah, they're going to do it 100%. But is it fair? No. I mean, I'd like to see somebody from their sport kind of step up and say, hey, I'll do you guys. You guys been doing us, but let's do your sport. We'll put on 8-ounce MMA gloves or whatever it may be. But I'd like to see somebody step up and reverse the rules, or meet in the middle, do a kickboxing match.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, James Toney's the only guy that's had the guts to step into the octagon, and that didn't go very well, right?
Yep. But you got to tip your hat to him. I mean,
For sure.
I thought, it's admirable what he did, but you can kind of see what would happen if they faced a wrestler or any kickboxer.
I ain't gonna lie though. When Anderson put that performance on, I was very happy. I mean, that was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, for sure. That was after the zombie fight. We were eating dinner and we saw little clips and highlights, and someone said Anderson won. I go, good for him, man. That's kind of like a win for the MMA community, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I thought that was great, but yeah, I think he was a 6-1 underdog or whatever it may have been. But that's a huge win to beat a world champion in their sport. It's definitely a victory.
Well, Eddie, man, I know you're busy. Thank you for your time. Take a few seconds here, man. Shout out your gym, whatever you would like, man. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Just want to shout out our team, Fight Ready, our boss, Dave Zowine. And that's it. To our fighters, we got a bunch of fights coming up, and I don't want to miss one, so I won't say any. But yeah, we got quite a few coming up here in July and August.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, brother. Enjoy the weather and take it easy, my friend. Enjoy your holiday too.
Thanks, Mike. Talk to you later.
Take it easy, Eddie.
Bye.